Instinctually, you probably know that gardening is good for your well-being. People say things like gardening is therapeutic and get outside, the fresh air will do you a world of good. But is there any real evidence behind it? Is gardening really good for you? Well, yeah, there's loads of research behind this, and it really does look like gardening can transform both your physical and your mental well-being. The research around this dates back to the 1970s and 80s when two professors, Rachel and Stephen Kaplan, found that spending time in the natural world, which includes gardens, helps to restore our ability to concentrate after periods of mental fatigue. Another study found that hospital patients recovered from gallbladder surgery a day earlier and needed less pain medication when their hospital window faced trees rather than a brick wall. And since then, lots more research has confirmed and expanded on these findings, including work from researchers at the University of Chicago, which found that if your home faced green space rather than an urban scene, you are more likely to have better attention, better self-control, show less aggression, and even commit fewer crimes. Now, when we recognise that up to 80% of the differences in our health outcomes come down to social circumstances and environment, the power that the natural world and green spaces like parks and gardens have starts to become impossible to ignore. And having worked in horticulture for 2 decades and social and therapeutic gardening for 3 years, I've witnessed firsthand the difference that gardening can make to people struggling both physically and mentally. I've seen people who were considered non-verbal speak. I've seen people who usually don't show an interest in anything get so excited for something as simple as raking leaves that they wake up early, pack their own lunch, even though they wouldn't normally make their own lunch, and wait for their bus an hour before it's supposed to arrive.
One ticket, please.
There you go, son. Hop on. I've seen people with memory loss remember things that are important to them that they haven't remembered for a really long time. And I've seen people stuck in jobs that they hate, jobs that are making them ill, change career, find connection to the natural world, and never look back. But what is it about gardening that can transform people's lives in such profound ways, improving both physical and mental well-being? Well, award-winning journalist and author Julia Hotz, who specialises in social prescribing, suggests that many activities associated with better well-being, like gardening, have 5 key ingredients in common. They are movement, nature, art, service, and belonging. And gardening just happens to bring all 5 together. Movement because gardening is physical. We walk, we dig, we prune, we lift and stretch, often without even thinking of it as exercise. Nature because we're surrounded by plants, wildlife, soil, and the changing seasons. Art through the creative decisions we make as gardeners. Service by creating habitats for wildlife and spaces that other people can enjoy too. And belonging, because gardens bring people together. We share plants, we share knowledge, we share stories and personal experience, and we build community. So this may explain why gardening can feel so restorative. But why are these 5 ingredients more important for our well-being than others like technology, competition, or funny cat videos? Well, it's probably because they've been part of our lives for millions of years. Our bodies and our minds expect them. In fact, our bodies and our minds need them. These weren't optional extras for our ancestors, they were part of everyday life. Movement, for example, was how our ancestors found food. They hunted, they gathered, they collected water and moved from place to place to follow the natural resources they depended upon. We also know that exercise releases chemicals like serotonin, dopamine and endorphins, which make us feel amazing, reducing symptoms of anxiety and depression while lifting our mood. And from an evolutionary perspective, that's hardly surprising because if movement was essential to our survival, it makes sense that our bodies would evolve ways of encouraging us to do it. Now, when it comes to art, we know that figurative cave paintings date back at least 45,000 years, personal ornaments over 100,000 years, and abstract engravings more than 500,000 years. Now, storytelling almost certainly predates the first two, while singing might even predate spoken language. And, by the way, a well-known study by researchers at Drexel University found that as little as 45 minutes of making art significantly reduces cortisol, which is really cool, because while serotonin and dopamine can lift our mood, cortisol is our body's main stress hormone. It's essential in short bursts, but too much for too long can take a real toll on both our mental and our physical well-being. So the fact that getting arty in the garden can help to bring cortisol under control is really significant. Now, service is just as ancient. We humans have always relied on one another. We cared for children, shared food, protected our friends, and worked together as a society to achieve things that no single person could accomplish on their own. In other words, helping others is part of being human. Our need to belong may be older still, because for hundreds of thousands of years, our survival depended on belonging to a group, and to be separated from it was to face the world alone. We are the super social mammal, or at least we're supposed to be. Finally, there's nature. Throughout human history, nature wasn't somewhere we chose to visit on a Saturday. It was our home. It's where we evolved, where we found food and shelter, where we raised families and told stories around the fire.
I go down to cave and indoor big bell and me fear for life. No, it's true. I dare too.
So, almost all of our existence unfolded in the natural world. And that's why spending time in nature can feel so familiar, because we're not escaping to somewhere new, we're returning to the living world that shaped us. So that gives us an idea about why gardening helps to restore our well-being. It's because it reconnects us with some of the most fundamental aspects of being human. But it's not the whole story, because, like I said at the beginning of the video, even if we're not gardening, it turns out that just being in a garden can restore our well-being too. And we're going to unwrap why that might be in the next video. Alright, I hope you've really enjoyed this video, and I also hope that, as a fellow human, you might be able to see more clearly and to feel more strongly the connections that you share when gardening with our ancestors, and to understand why gardening can be so transformative to our physical and our mental well-being. If you're happy to share in the comments, I'd love to hear how gardening has helped you and your well-being. And if there are any specific gardening-related activities that you find particularly helpful, whether it's a specific gardening task, if it's showing a friend or family member how to do something in the garden, or if it's spending time in the garden alone, appreciating the garden itself. I reply to every comment that I see, and I look forward to hearing what works for you. So, until next time, happy and healthy gardening. Bye.